All right. Today with me on the Ubuntu Unfiltered, I really have a special guest, Andrew. Andrew is my friend from Instagram, and he's one of the very first people who appreciated this journey, and they were like, "Oh man, you got this." And I really treasure all these people. I treasure the first comments. I treasure the first people to support me from the word go. And the very first people to tell me, like, you're doing right here and you got this and all that. Andrew, welcome to the Ubuntu Unfiltered.
Thank you for welcoming me to the community. We were so eagerly waiting for, so yeah, thanks for welcoming me.
Yes, it's a community where I believe we shall all be here and share ideas, inspirations, information with each and everyone. And it is something rare here in the EU. And so Andrew, where are you located at the moment?
I'm in Zurich, Switzerland.
Zurich, Switzerland.
Yes.
That's in the Europe. How is Zurich? Is it so cold?
Today is a little bit cold. Actually, we are now on -8, so it's a little bit old. But normally it's not that cold. It's the coldest we normally go to is like -3, -4. Today is just a little bit more than usual, but we are not that cold, and it's a good city. It is, at least in Switzerland, it's a more urban, more forward city than other cities. So yeah, it is a good city to be.
Oh, why? Everyone, if I live in Munich, I say Munich is the best. So I understand the feeling.
Actually, for me, I have no qualms about telling my city the otherwise.
Yeah,
All
the
the
same
cities
thing.
I have lived in, they know me. They always like, this is the worst city ever.
To me, I live where the best is. I always say where I live, it's the best. So however much you might say it is this, I'll always say this is the best. So how is the community in Zurich? How many, like, are there more Ugandans, more East Africans? How is it there?
There are not a lot of Ugandans, but then it's understandable because I think I only see Ugandans like when they're like big festivals and then they disappear. They completely disappear and you never see them. So you can only see them like once a year. I don't think we have so many Ugandans in Zurich. Maybe down in Geneva, they might be more. Thing is, Ugandans don't like to go where the language they don't understand the language or where they will have to learn a new language.
We are antisocial. Wait, Zurich, you have to learn a new language?
Yes, either you have to speak German or Swiss German. Well, everyone in Zurich and almost everyone in Switzerland speaks English, but officially they do speak Swiss German or German. And most people are actually receptive when you speak to them in English. They understand, oh, you are an immigrant, da, da, da. They'll answer you back. Though some people will adamantly refuse to answer you back in English. And when they refuse to do that, just know that person is not interested in talking to you.
So what is the official language in Switzerland?
There are many. So it depends the cantons or the region where you are.
Yeah.
So the regions near Germany, they speak German or Swiss German. And then the regions which are nearer to France, they speak French or Swiss French. Then there is the regions near Italy who speak Italian. And then there are some few regions which speak a very weird language called Romansh.
I've never heard of that.
So it will depend on where you are. And because Switzerland is different from other European countries, is that it is more organized, it is a federal state. So the regions have a lot of power. So it's even when you are applying for immigrations, for visas and everything, it's the regions who actually grant you the permits. So the regions are really, really powerful.
It's like in Uganda, you have to look for the chairman. So then the chairman must know you of the area. So
that's how it is.
Wait, that's how it is.
Well, you are not going to look for the chairman of the area, but at least the regional offices must know about you, because you like here you cannot do anything. You cannot get a bank account. You cannot do anything without having registered with the regional office, the canton office. you want to do anything if you are not known. So it's
Wow.
like the chair has to know you. If the chair doesn't know you, you won't do anything in the area.
Wow. So let me ask you the very first question I ask everyone who comes on this podcast. And that is it. Someone seeing you for the first time, apart from knowing who you are by your names, um, how do you want them to perceive you or how do you want them to know you?
That is a really hard one. I'm known for maybe my work. Some people know me that,
Yeah.
oh, Andrew is a medical doctor. Others know me through
Mm.
my studies. Others know me. So I'm known for many things. I would like people to know me and say Andrew Mutuabantu.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm also one of those people, like for me, like when people say, oh, Dr. Andrew, actually, it makes me feel uncomfortable. It almost feels like they are making me distinct from the general pool. So,
That is very
so
powerful.
someone out there says, oh, there is a Ugandan called Andrew Mutuabantu in Zurich, Switzerland. That's how I would like to
Wow.
be known.
That is nice. What do you do, Andrew?
Right now, I'm finishing my PhD at the University of Zurich.
PhD? PhD in
I
what?
in epidemiology and biostatistics. I'm mainly focusing on infectious diseases. Yeah, well, like I said, I'm a medical doctor. I have studied in many places. I've studied in Makerere. I went to London for my master's. I'm here for my PhD, which I'm about to finish hopefully in the next 6 months. I have done of studying and
Yeah.
I have worked also. I mainly have worked in the country. So yeah, study wise, that's what I'm doing right now. But the way it is here, it is also a little bit different. Like most people will, when you go to Europe to study, you go on maybe like for a scholarship or something. But the way Switzerland
Yeah.
is that you go on you are employed and then they
Okay.
pay you a salary and then you use part of the salary to pay your tuition and living expenses. So I'm
Yeah.
employed as a doctoral researcher by the University of Zurich.
Wow.
And that's what I'm doing as I'm also doing my PhD.
That's really powerful. That is really powerful.
I expected, like for me, always I have traveled because either I'm going to work or I'm going to study.
Yeah. But
And
this is mm,
but I have done the clip. And that's what I always say when, because I have a lot of people who come and arrive at my house, and I always give them this talk of new immigrants, telling them what to expect. And one of the things I always
yes.
tell them is like, yes, you might have come through high-powered means, but survival means sometimes you have to shed a lot of airs, a lot of layers, and
Mm.
once you have survived and you have established yourself, then you can say now I can start putting on the extra layers back. But when you just starting to survive and
But what kept you going to pursue your studies? You know, most people come here and they chill once they have the mini jobs around. They give up on their passions. And, you know, there is a saying that says if you want to hide something from an African, hide it in the box. So, what kept you going?
well, that saying would never work in my house.
Because I'll be frank with you, because most of our people down there don't want to study and they don't want to have careers. So,
I grew up in a house which was not typical a typical African a typical Ugandan house. We were not rich, we were very poor, but our mom made sure that we were very exposed. I grew up with books around me. Like in our house, you would rather not have food but have a book. So from a very young age, I was reading. I got introduced to reading and to books at a very young age. And so it
mm,
became almost a part of me. Like it's almost like a culture to me that I can go for so long without food, but I can't see myself like 24 hours going and I haven't looked in a certain book, whichever
wow.
it might be about. So
Mm,
the way I think I was raised is a little bit different. And I always say I give this to my mom. She's that kind of person. Like all her kids, you had to have a book, you have to know how to read from a very young age. You had to know how to write from a very young age.
She
And
knew the
you had
value of education.
and then you had to know that you had to have a career somewhere. And you
Wow.
had to start working on it like from a very young age and start laying the foundations. That I think helped me to be a little more. I don't think I don't think I'm actually very disciplined, but at least I know that there is a path which I have to stay upon. It's I'm not staying on it because yeah, Andrew is so disciplined in his mind that he's good, but it's just
Yep.
a culture which I was raised in.
No, that's really powerful. Moving away from the Ugandan culture from home, shout out to Mama and the people out there who made us who we are right now. Moving to the community, the Ugandans in Switzerland. I wanted to ask you that how's the Ugandan community in the Switzerland?
I think that Switzerland is a little bit more different from other European countries. The Swiss, first of all, you before you come to the community of Ugandans, is that the Swiss are very aloof,
Oh.
very, very aloof. Like they are very professional. When it comes to work, they are very forthcoming. They'll create a very good working environment, but you will never know anything personal about them. And because of that, you find that when immigrants come, they do the utmost because they want to be integrated into the overall community. They do the utmost to be as Swiss as possible. And unfortunately, one of the side effects of that is that when they try to be as Swiss or even more Swiss than the Swiss, in order to be accepted by the Swiss, they end up pushing away other immigrants because they feel like, oh, like for me, I'm one of those people who I don't aspire to be as accepted by the Swiss.
What
And
is your reaction to these guys? Like, how do the Europeans perceive you as a Ugandan if you introduce yourself
they
like
don't
Uganda?
really know Ugandans. The funny thing is that only Uganda people know. Well, people I work with have traveled extensively, so they know. I'm like, if that's what
Yeah.
you want to believe Uganda is, believe it. For me, I know my Uganda, and that's it.
It has happened to me once. You have reminded me. I had a teacher who is teaching me German. He was like, Ugandan lost humanity ever since Idi Amin or something like that.
So
Yeah.
when I arrived, I remember when I arrived, most of the places where I go to, the first places where I built a community is church. But I was surprised in Switzerland. I went to this church. There is like one church in Zurich which speaks English. So I went to this English speaking church, and it's made up of people from like immigrants, people from all over the world
Yeah.
because well that they speak English. And I remember after Mass, I went to the people and I introduced myself to them. I was like, hey, I'm Andrew, I'm new to Zurich. I'm a PhD student, I work for the University of Zurich, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
I, I could see people were very apprehensive. People were like, you know, when people do this thing of almost as if you're going to snatch a pass and run away with it.
Yeah.
And these were fellow immigrants. So
Yeah, talk about it. Talk about it. By the way, I find I find fellow immigrants so rude than even the natives.
yes, that's what we refer to that they are acting more Swiss than the Swiss. So I tried that route of creating a community through church. It failed, and yet all other countries I have gone to, that's where I built a community first because I thought the church is very welcoming, not the church here. So what I did, I just went on social media and I looked up.
Yeah.
I tried Ugandans. Ugandans were not that many. I've been here for 3 years, and I think I have only seen them for 3 days, one day a year. It's very hard to come across Ugandans in Switzerland, but at least they are East Africans, they are Kenyans, they are Tanzanians, they are people from Burundi. Actually, a lot of people from Burundi. And so I just told, as I said, and I texted them. I was like, hey, I'm Andrew. Some of them I had were already my friends when
Yeah.
before I came to Switzerland. So I just was like, hey, Andrew, I'm now in Zurich. Can we get a drink or
Yeah.
something? And so I have
Yeah.
now managed to create a community around me. And that, I think, is a very Ugandan thing. I don't think a Ugandan can survive abroad without a community.
Yeah, there is that debate going on, and I think it's Mr. Luvega who started it online. I see it on TikTok that Ugandans, wherever you are, tuva ku community. The community, it is really important to have a community, help one another. Issues can come. Truly, we are far away from home, but create a community, be in a community, and I think it is very good to have a community where you are. So let me ask you something of that. What is the Ugandan habit you refused to drop from home and you carried it to Europe?
I removing my shoes in the house. I when people walk around in my house in with their shoes, I look at them weirdly because I grew up
In a house.
where the shoes you leave them kumliango.
Yeah, yeah,
And then another thing is which I have but this one is intentional. The shoe thing is not intentional. I just because it's I sometimes I just look at people weirdly when they are walking around with shoes in the house. But
yeah.
I don't correct them, but I try as much as possible to eat using my fingers. There
We
is
used to
a
call it
way,
typing in school.
yes, there is a way I feel connected to
Mm,
back home when I might use cutlery like for 6 days
yeah.
a week, but on Sunday when I sit and cook and do whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I like to sit down and use my fingers. It's almost there is a way it makes me more grounded, like I haven't really lost everything because
Yeah.
you and I. This is also something I always tell people like find one thing which you
Mm,
normally do every day back home and do it at least once a week.
yeah.
So for
Yeah.
me, the thing I do is like I like on Sundays I cook and then I eat using my fingers. Yes, people will look at me weirdly. I don't really care. But every
Yeah.
time I eat using my fingers, I almost feel like I'm communing with the people back home because I know my people are also seated somewhere close as I
After
am.
church,
Yes. So I
I
feel like
get the feeling. Yeah. Yeah, that's really nice. Do you miss home?
I do, but then I'm also one of those people. I don't think I ever belonged. Like I love Uganda. I think Uganda has done a lot of good things to me, but I don't think I also belong. Like I say, I grew up in a house which was never typical Ugandan. We were poor. I think even maybe the poorest of the village, but
Mhm.
we were more exposed than other people. Because like for me,
Mm.
from a very young age, I had access to books which people who had more resources than us never had. And then in my house, the one TV station which never went off of TV was CNN. So
Wow.
from a very young age, I remember knowing about things like the Bosnian War in like
Mm.
1997, which was so I was so I am so
Exposed.
so exposed that I it reached a point that I felt out of place growing up
Mm.
because always I was with people who were no shade to people. I don't want people to start shading them, but in my
Mm.
house, I we never did things like jama agenda, what.
Mhm,
It was
mhm.
more of news, international programs. So when people would be discussing these things at school, I would be blank. So
I get your
I
point.
never really felt like I belonged. So it was easier for me to move, to make the decisions to move. Like I
Mhm.
never been there and be like, oh no, I'm going to leave everything I know because I'm like the majority of the things I knew were actually international things. So
Yeah.
it was very easy
So
for me
so
to
you're mentally prepared and
because I remember the first time
mm,
the first country I went to was UK. And I
mm,
remember there was this person who used to be they were supposed to send out like emails and then they would maybe leave out my name on the email list. And so I would
mm,
receive the emails later and then they would say things like, oh no, your name is very hard to pronounce and oh, very hard to remember. And I was like, well, my name, there is Andrew in my name. There is Kirabo, which is just 3 syllables. So I'm like, you have names which have like 10 syllables and you remember them, but you cannot remember a name with 3 syllables. And I thought that is something which never happens in Uganda.
Yeah.
Ugandans, there is, even when they don't like you, there is a genuineness we have. Like someone will not do that. And for me, so it was a shock, but it was a culture shock because I don't think a Ugandan would do that. Uh, the more years I've spent abroad, it has actually happened a lot. So I know it's more of a culture thing that they are more used to subterfuge
Yep.
than a Ugandan person. A Ugandan is they either like you, they don't like you, and you know they don't like you, or they like you and they move on about you go.
Sure. So, Dr. Chirabo, what advice do you have to someone out there? This person is still in Uganda. He's looking for an opportunity to study abroad, to move out of Uganda and maybe upgrade. What advice do you have for such a person?
I would say no be very specific in your targets and also in your search because I have a lot of people who come to me and they're like, oh, I want to come and study abroad. Studying abroad is not specific enough. Even oh, I want to do a master's in a certain because the thing is most opportunities which you're going to have, most scholarships which you're going to have, it's sort of they are trying to invest in people.
Yep.
And it is even me, I know I would not invest in someone who's not specific enough in what they want to do. So
Specific enough, what do you mean?
um like what your goals, your life goals, and because most times that's what people actually invest in. They are not investing in your education, they are investing in the goals you have, in the plans you have after your education. So you have to be very specific and say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it like this in 10 years, 5 years time, 10 years time, 15 years time. This is what I plan to achieve. And not just say, and not the goal being
Yeah.
education. So I always say,
Yep.
be very specific in your goals. And once actually your goals are very specific, it is very easy to go to a funding agency and say, look here, this is the problem I have seen in my country.
I want to solve it.
I'm going to solve it, and this is how I'm going to solve it. But before I can solve it, I need this level of knowledge, which I can only get abroad. So the most important thing is always to be very specific about the outcome at the end,
Yes.
even before you start. Because what's the use of someone giving you money to go and study abroad when after that you can say, oh, uh, medicine more take. So I always say funding is there. Actually, there are a lot of funding sources for people especially people who want to study. But you are not going to get it except if your final goal is very specific.
So someone has to sit down and have specific goals and
Yes,
an
like think
education
about
plan.
it and say, well, what do I want in this life? What is
Sylvia.
even me? It's how I know when to say the clerk call us. I want to make money and a lot of it. At least when I was starting out, I had specific goals which were not money related, at least which were not very personal or selfish. Like you are able to really invest in you, you have to have goals which don't help only you.
Yeah.
So that is the thing I would say. Be very specific. Like a lot of people come and tell me, "Oh, Andrew, you have managed to do this for all these times, for all these degrees, and how did you manage it?" And I think that is the one thing also which I had more faster than other people because I applied. I remember for my masters when I had just finished my undergrad and I was doing my internship, and I applied for it. And but the thing is with me is that always have this thing of where do I want to go in the like that
Yeah.
end goal. So it was easier for me to apply and get.
So I want to ask you from there. Um, you did your masters from the UK and you're doing your PhD from Switzerland. what for so for someone who is still in Uganda, how can they also get such opportunities? How do they do it? Like if someone is ready and be like, I need to upgrade in my studies, I need to do this, where can they go and also, you know,
Um, for me,
obtain such opportunities?
I applied to Chevening, which is like it's this prestigious,
Chevening.
yes, prestigious scholarship scheme by the Brit.
Okay.
So that's what I applied for. That's what I got. But so
Mm.
I know, and every year Chevening actually takes a lot of people.
Yes, I've seen it. Measuring of chevening. It has. I have a friend of mine. She's a journalist. Carlton Scovia. She got the chevening scholarship, and many other people.
Yes.
Yes.
So there are
So
a
share
lot
some
of
of these scholarships so that people can apply and
there is the Commonwealth, there is the Chevening. If you want to go to Scandinavian countries, there is a Swedish it's called the I think, Swedish something thing. So there are actually scholarship schemes out there. It
Yeah.
is, and so even now when you just go and type in master's scholarships for Ugandan students in Europe, you can on Google you can actually get a full list of things. But always you have to be very prepared. For me, it's not that big issue. It is how to apply for them. Now we have to acknowledge that a lot of people actually are looking for opportunities outside of Uganda. Uganda
Yeah.
is not as doesn't have as many opportunities as there were maybe when we were younger. And so because of that, a lot of people. So you have to know that you're going to compete. That's why for that one spot you're going to get, you're competing with thousands of people. Thousands
Yeah.
of Ugandans apply every year and they are taking just a few people, maybe 30 people. Like Chevening takes like 30, Commonwealth can take like 30, Swedish it can take like 30. Like in total, when you merge up all the scholarship schemes we have targeting
Yeah.
Ugandans or where
Yeah.
Ugandans can apply, you can find that you have like maybe in total like 200 or 300 people going every year apply as so many because remember Uganda has a very young population, so most of the people are we are
So you have to look for ways on how to stand
stand out.
out. Yes. And one of the tips you have shared is being very intentional.
Yes.
And I would
Be very
summarize to
intentional,
someone.
and also once you know which scheme you're going for, go
Yeah.
all in on it. Don't be half. Don't be like, oh, I tell like, because I have seen some people will be trying to apply to a certain scheme, and then they will write to me and be like, oh, I have these essays which I'm going to use to apply, and they are planning to use all the same essay to apply everywhere. Be very be very intentional about where you want also to apply. Like you have be very specific and intentional of why you're applying, but also be very intentional about where you're applying. Like
Yeah.
for me, when I was applying, I remember I went on the UK Foreign Office website and
Yeah.
I looked at what were their goals for maybe Uganda, for Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa and Uganda in specific.
Yes.
The way I wrote my essays was I was in what they wanted to fund because I knew what goals were for Uganda at that moment. And but also I always tell people like, you can do everything and there is an option of luck.
Yeah.
Because for me, when I was applying, there were a lot of outbreaks.
Yeah.
There was the Ebola outbreak, the Crimean Congo outbreak. That was also the time the bad flus were coming up, and soon after, I applied before COVID, but after applying, COVID came up, and so I was very in need. So they needed me. So I always say, people like, but even when they need you, they are not going to give it to you if you are non-specific. But for me, I had said, this is the thing. Uganda, we have
Yes.
a lot of outbreaks from Uganda, a lot of this, da, da, da. So my whole thing was all about infectious diseases, outbreaks, and everything. So the luck would or unluck for some people, but for me it was luck. Was
Yes.
outbreaks happened immediately after I had just submitted my application.
Wow.
So when they looked in, it was almost impossible to let me out, to leave me out of the people they were selecting when I was the one who had the most specific about infectious diseases.
Yo.
So that's what I always tell people like, yes, luck sometimes shifts the balance.
So sometimes you have to go to your knees and pray to God. I know there is someone out there listening to this who is on internet, who has been searching. The problem with Ugandans, at times they don't want to share knowledge with others. But
I don't care. The thing is with me is that the world has given me a lot,
yes.
and I believe that each one of us should be able to give back. It
And
is
that's what we are
very
to
terrible
do.
for you to get and just keep for yourself. Then the love is, I'm a person, I believe in love. I believe we have to spread love around. So if you are selfish and you keep it to yourself, you don't know when you will need help and it won't come back. But if I help someone and that someone help someone and that someone help someone, so someone maybe in the future I'll need a doctor. That doctor was got their expertise from what I helped in the past. So I keep trying to help as much as possible. So for me, I don't care. If someone approaches me,
Yeah.
asks for something, it doesn't take a match to 15, 30 minutes to talk to someone. It doesn't really take much.
And I'm humbled that you are here sharing all this. Big up to you. One last message you would send to our viewers out there, those in
Um,
Europe, those in Uganda, just a message to them
if you are in
from
Uganda,
Dr. Kirabo.
I would say if you are in Uganda, enjoy it.
Yes.
Yes, I think that is. I think I did not enjoy Uganda as much as I now appreciate it, and But there are a lot of things which I could have done, which I could have enjoyed, which I never did. So I look forward to when I am afforded the opportunity again to be there and enjoy them. But then also some things, it's their age. Some things I feel like being the same. Or
You have overgrown and
yes, so I
passed
feel
by
like
that. Yeah.
but I could have enjoyed them when I was younger. So I always tell people
Yes.
like, please take the time and enjoy your country.
Yes.
Enjoy it maximally. Those ones who are not in Uganda, I always say keep in touch with the community, and your community
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily have to be your relatives, doesn't necessarily have to be your friends, doesn't necessarily have to be your countrymen, but have a community around you. And
Yeah.
even if you're not getting anything tangible from the community, but having people who you go missing for a day or two and they call or send a message and say, hey, what happened? We haven't heard from you for 2 days. There is a
Yeah.
way it
You
helps. So
feel.
if you are away from the country, I always tell people that. And the second, and I think the most important thing is do survive. And when especially when you are not when you are not in the country, because if I'm in Uganda, I can go a day or two without food, and then I call Mama Nachi or someone, and they can give
Yeah.
you. If you are not in your country,
Yes.
it is everyone is trying to survive, so you have
Yeah.
to do whatever you have to do to survive. Don't look
Yeah.
on anything, as long as the most important thing is to ensure your survival. Whether
Yes.
someone laughs at you to against and also mukade or what matters is that you have
yes.
enough food, you have a roof over your head, and you are warm.
Yeah.
So that's it. For people outside of Uganda is maintain a community and survive. Survival is the ultimate thing. After you have survived and you have established yourself, you can say, you know what,
Yes.
ekyokugenda n'enjoza bakadde. It's below me now, but at
Yeah.
least you survived.
Yes. Thanks so much, Dr. Andrew Chirao, for sharing all this information. And anyone who wants to reach out to Dr. Andrew Chirabo, he uses Dr. Andrew Chirabo on Instagram. Yes, I think I've seen you on Instagram. That's where you're most active.
I'm most active. I am active on Twitter, but when I'm on Twitter, I'm most like you'll find me quarreling.
Mm,
The times I log into Twitter is for very specific reasons. I'm
yes.
either
Mm,
shouting at a certain company, a certain government official, a certain university. So
yeah,
Twitter is my quarreling
I
platform.
know.
My platform, which I check regularly, is Instagram. That one is for fun, where I keep in touch
Mm,
with my community. Where I be like, hey, hello,
yeah.
okay, Flavia, you have done that, so they can reach out to
Yes.
me through Instagram.
Yes. Thank you so much for having this conversation. We hope to have more conversations like this with Dr. Kirabo. Thanks for tuning in. You can have this full conversation at Ubuntu Unfiltered YouTube channel. And of course, if you want to listen to the audios, it is available on Amazon, Spotify, Apple. And yes, here we are. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.